after you get done playing a show, they commonly quarantine you like this so nobody else can get in here. Because, you know, after you've been playing for about an hour, you get pretty gamey, so they don't want anybody around. Hey guys, Nick here, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you about getting ready for a show. Preparing for one, what you pack up, what kind of gear you take, how to choose which gear, things like sound checks and things like that. I'm going to use two shows that I went to as kind of like a walkthrough to from beginning to end on how you do those things, so stay tuned. So if you watch the channel, you know that I've played in a lot of bands before, and I actually took a break to start this YouTube channel and do a few other things. I wanted to start collaborating some more with musicians and start writing, because the bands that I was in before, they weren't doing a lot of writing original music, and I really wanted to do that. I got tired of playing cover songs. Great bands, great guys. I just want to do something different. So since I've started this channel, I haven't had a lot of performances that I've done. However, in the last month or so, I've had 2 different outdoor gigs. Now they're not huge shows or anything like that, but they're a pretty good crowd of people, and they were for an interesting event in downtown Birmingham, a little bit north of Detroit, maybe about 45 minutes. It's got a really nice downtown area, and just outside of downtown there's a place called, I think it's called Booth Park. It's a pretty nice park, kind of like slow rolling hills, a big playscape for the kids, a good family place, a river behind it. And what they'll do in the summertime is they will have this big inflatable movie screen, like a big inflatable screen, and they'll have like movie night in the park on certain Friday nights. Only about a handful a year, not too many of them. And they'll play usually some kids show or something, but they will have a band play before then for the parents and for the kids. And we've been asked to do that a few times in the past for my one band, 4 Stories. And we got asked to do it twice again this year. And like I said, I haven't played in a while, so doing this channel and going through, walking through stuff, I thought it'd be a good, interesting thing to do, to film a lot of things that I do while I'm at these shows and how to prepare for it, so I could actually show you, if you're interested or if you've never done that before, how things work. So the first thing, before you even get to a show, setting it up, you have to figure out what songs you're going to play and how long you're going to play them. Now we're playing this for just under an hour or so, about 45 minutes worth of playing time, not a long time, with a list of reserves. For instance, some extra faster songs or some extra songs if people are dancing that you can just change on the blink of an eye. For instance, if you have like a song and a lot of people are dancing and you have a lot of kids dancing or something because it's a family thing, you don't want to have your next song be a slow song, because that kind of like ruins the mood. You have to make sure that you keep the party going, so to speak. So once you have your song list together, you've been practicing a lot to get to that point, you're all pretty confident you're going to do it. Now it's showtime. So what do you do at showtime? Well, you have to pack all your stuff up and get it there. Now for bigger shows, I usually take my Mesa Boogie, and I usually take that for these too. But I've actually played direct through a Line 6 pod and some other things before. But I usually take some kind of a backup. Like even though I'm playing out of a Mesa Boogie, I have like either an amp. This time I took my Blackstar ID Core 40, just in case something happened with it or something's goofy on it, one of the tubes go and I don't feel like changing it, or I don't have a tube or something. Guitar, I usually carry backups like for a guitar, but I don't for these shows sometimes, because I usually know the strings aren't too old. My main Stratocaster has locking tuners, I can change them really fast. I can play the rest of a set or something if a string's missing, so it's not a big deal to me. For bigger shows, if it's a bigger paid show that I'm playing somewhere, I usually take like a backup guitar, and I usually make sure my strings are really new, so I don't have to worry so much about strings breaking. And even though I've had strings break when they're brand new a few times. Make sure you bring your cords, extra cords. Make sure you take extra picks. Make sure you have a tuner. Make sure you take extra strings in case a string breaks or something, and some fast way to change them if you have a string winder or something to get it on and off real quick, if you need to do that between songs or something, so it's not a lag time if you break a string. I also like taking an extra power strip, because you can never have enough of those things. Sometimes it seems like you always need an extra little 5 feet or something. After you have your setup and you do a quick instrument check and you're all in tune, if there's a sound man there, make sure you always make friends with your sound man or sound person. They can make or break it. There are a lot of different things to do in sound check. One, you have to make sure that you hear it. You have to make sure, if you have monitors, that you can hear a good mix of whatever you want to hear in there. Usually I like to hear my guitar really loud, and if I'm being mic'd and if I'm playing through a monitor, I need to make sure that I'm kind of loud, because I need to hear every little nuance of what I'm playing. So make sure that your mix is, if you have 2 monitors, then you balance it out between the rest of your band. But you have to make sure that your monitors are balanced out to whatever you want to hear. You have to make sure you go out as far as you can if you have a wireless or a longer cord, and see if you can get by the other speakers, because sometimes it's not always balanced out the way you would like it to. So that's really, really good thing. We played 2 shows ago, and we didn't have enough time to do a quick sound check. And everybody was saying my guitar was way too quiet, they couldn't hear me that much, but I didn't hear it until the end of the show, because I could hear it from my amp a little bit behind me, and I could hear it in the monitor, so it wasn't like a big deal to me. But those are good things to know, so make sure you always do a good sound check. It's real critical to how everybody else hears you and how you sound in general. Make sure you take enough time to warm up beforehand. If you're a drummer, there's a lot of things you can do to warm up besides just hitting the drums all the time. Of course, that's going to be part of it. With a guitar player, you can play a bass player, any kind of stringed instrument. make sure your hands are warmed up. Some people, even though they're really, really good and they play, they might take, especially if you're just coming off work or you're doing something else and you haven't touched your instrument that day, it might take some people 10 minutes or something like that, or 15 minutes of really good solid warm-up playing to really get in their groove so they feel like it. So you want to make sure that you're warmed up and your hands are ready to go right from that first song. Set list, what do you do with those? We usually print them out. I've done everything from taking gaffer's tape and posting them on the floor to, like I did this time, I just like stuck it right next to the monitor and put my coffee cup right next to it so it didn't blow over. I've actually taped them on the back of guitars before, depending on how the stage is and what I need to do. As long as everybody knows what song's coming up next and what the extra reserve songs are, if you have one of those, so you can say, we're going to do this one, we're switching this one, we're going to kill this one. Yes, we're skipping that one. 7 o'clock, sound check is getting there. You already know what the next one is if you kill certain songs, but everybody needs to know what the songs are, what the order is, and have it very, very visible in front of them. So make sure that that's prominent for everybody. If you're playing out in the sun, make sure you have either some sunblock, maybe some sunglasses. Besides looking cool, you might actually kind of need them, because like when we're playing this for sunset, that sun's coming like right in my eyes at some point. It's really kind of bright, so I had to make sure I sprayed a little sunblock on. For guys that are playing acoustic guitars, make sure it's not in the sun too much, because hollow body acoustics can start warping if they're in intense heat. What happens is, because there's a lot of glue inside, sometimes the glue will soften up, and when that glue's soft and you have all the tension from the strings pulling on it with soft glue, it can kind of undo some of the things I've seen. I've never had that done before for any of the shows that I played, but I've felt guitars get really hot to the point where I wouldn't want to have them out much longer, and I've heard people have problems. So just a heads up, if you have like anything that's glued together, like a semi-hollow body or hollow body, or an acoustic guitar, you have to be really careful about having that thing in the sun for too long, for hours. If you're playing outside, make sure you have like some kind of water, whether it's your Gatorade or your water. Like this time it was like kind of at night, so I had my coffee next to me, just to keep me up a little bit, so I was a little bit alert. But make sure you have something, whatever you want. One of my singers used to have like iced teas. Would always have like an iced tea they would have. Or depending on what your sound, maybe you have a beer next to you or something. But make sure you have something to drink, because you're probably going to want it, especially out in the sun, because you get really, really hot. And even though I don't really like to wear shorts or flip-flops when I'm playing, I just think it looks funny and I feel odd playing like that. You're still going to get kind of, even if you were playing that, you're going to get kind of hot in the summer if you're playing. So just make sure you stay hydrated and you're dressed as cool as you can be. Another thing, make sure you can practice setting up and tearing your gear down fast. Make sure that you can set up your amp, plug everything in, just business. You know exactly if you're going to have a pedal board or you're having your pedals separately. Make sure you know how to do those. Make sure you know how to, like, quick. Make sure you know what order they go into. You don't want to take a half hour to set up your stuff up for your guitar player. You should be able to set that up in about 5 or 10 minutes tops, or less. I'll tell you another thing. If you have a heavy amp, like my Mesa Boogie, it's like it's almost 100 pounds or something like that. And I can lift 100 pounds in the gym, but when you have like a big box that's 100 pounds in an odd shape and you're carrying other stuff, it's just very, very awkward. And I really don't feel like carrying that thing for like a quarter mile down the road sometimes. And even though a lot of times when you're playing a show, they will let you get close to the stage. Guess we got to move our cars real quick, 10 minutes before we got to go. So we'll see if we can park them somewhere that's less than 2 miles away. We'll see. You still, sometimes you can't always get up to it. And like this time, we're still rolling across hills because you can't drive all the way there, so you have to move it there. So having a dolly is definitely a huge, huge thing. I paid $50-$60 for it like 15 years ago, and the first 2 times I played a show was more than worth it to be able to like put your heavy stuff on there and just yank it with you, pull it out of the car. It just makes it so much easier on your back. And if you're gonna be playing, you want to be in good shape. You don't want to like pull a muscle or something like that if you're going to be playing with a guitar around or any kind of instrument. So you want to make sure that you can move that stuff quickly and easily, and that the dollies definitely help. So those are some thoughts from me about doing a show, all the different things that you do while you're on the show, and some tips about what to pack up and some different things. Let me know if there's any routine that you have when you do these shows, if any of this helped you for some of the newer players, maybe if somebody's never played like a show, if that helps. If there's anything else that I should cover next time or anything else I should show. And you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.